Stephan Lamarche, last night you fought at Heroes Combat League, and you fought against Mike McDonald.
Dave McDonald.
Dave McDonald. Sorry, yes. I'm getting names mixed up here.
Infamous David McDonald.
David McDonald, yes. And, I'll be honest, I was there doing the commentary with Ramdeen. And, you have a presence when you walk into a room. You have, we can call it confidence. We can call it focus. We can call it this aggression, So the moment you stepped in the ring, you already won. In my humble opinion, no disrespect to your opponent. You won psychologically because the vibe you gave off was like you're looking at your opponent like your opponent is your victim, And I'm not trying to put down anybody here when I say that, but that's how I interpreted it, right? My first question that I want to ask you right away is lead us through that fight. Not so much the fight, but the walking to the ring and staring at your opponent. What was going through your mind?
Well, I mean, as you know, I was supposed to fight this guy before, and he found a way out of the fight, and then asked for it again, which I accepted. So even going into the fight, I already didn't have much respect for him. I didn't think much of him, and And we were talking before that, me and my teammates. They said the key to beating this guy was just the same way I talk about him in training and every day. When I see my friends every day, the way we talk about this guy is the way I should treat him in the ring. And that's what I did pretty much, right? I walked in there just to do my thing. I didn't really care what he was going to do. I was just going to do what I had to do, and which was win.
For sure. And I mean, he obviously, unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunities to speak with him either before or after the fight. But from what I saw and from what I witnessed ringside, there's almost everything he threw at you, you weren't selling it. You weren't buying it. It was almost as if you were dismissing all of his offensive attacks. And it seemed to me right away that this individual was probably mentally broken. Right from the get-go, and I don't say this out of disrespect. You could see it in the opponent's face, this almost kind of like deer caught in the headlight moment. When that happens to your opponents, how do you feel? And lead us through that situation.
I mean, I think the fight started and he landed a head kick right off the bat, right, and which I pretty much just dismissed, like you said, and it just didn't really matter. And then once he started backing up right away, he started going backwards, trying to fight backwards, and that was pretty much my cue that this guy didn't want to be there or couldn't hang with me anyways. And because I mean, on paper, he's got a lot more fights than me, a lot more Muay Thai fights than me. This is my 4th fight, right? So this guy's got 40, 50 fights. Who knows, right? He fought pro in Thailand. He's fought pro in New York. He's got a lot of fights, and I mean, on paper it was a win for him. But I mean, this is real life.
Mm-hmm. And there are moments, and as I've seen in your previous fights, where you almost you teleport into a state of mind and a state of being that is just a pure rage and savagery and madness. You technically, essentially, are hellaciously clobbering your opponent, and in a barrage, especially in the corners, in the corner with the elbows. It's like you erupt. And I don't know you that well. I've known you obviously in the local scene. I actually followed your career since your debut. I think when you were with Ronan back in the day. So I know who you are as a fighter, but I don't know you personally. But what I do know is that you're generally an introverted person. Would it be fair to say that?
Depending on what introverted means.
Sure, introverted in the sense that you're not necessarily a loud, when you walk into the room, you're not yelling and creating and directing energy your way. You're more calm and quiet. However, as an introvert, you are explosively, there are aspects of your behavior that is extroverted, where you explode. And last night you did that, right? And you do that intermittently, like here and there. It's like if you were to pepper a steak, you pepper a bit of the corner, you pepper a bit in the middle, and then you go mad. You know what I mean? You go loco on that steak, and we see that with you, and it's fascinating because it's unpredictable and it's fucking scary. But on top of all that, it's something that is almost the true spirit of combat, right? Which is fight. Give us 101%. And the reason why, I'm interviewing you this morning. You fought last night and you won, but I'd like to know, how did you, and I'm going to be asking you maybe some tough questions, maybe not. Answer as whatever feels natural. How do you cultivate that sort of mindset? How do you cultivate the Stephan Lamarche technically hellacious clobbering? I call that the THC, the technically hellacious clobbering. How do you cultivate that rugged, relentless mindset? Because I think that is something that not all fighters have, Stefan. And on top of that, I think it's something that you can't even friggin' teach people. It doesn't just apply to combat sports. It's to life, right? This relentless pursuit towards something, because nothing in life is meant to necessarily be easy, and people give up on themselves. And this is why people look to athletes and their determined spirit to accomplish. And I look at you and your fighting spirit, and I'm like, this guy regionally, I think in Ottawa, has that determination that others don't have. Right, you're in the gym 5-6 days a week. You practically live here, train here. You work full time. You're fully committed. You've been at it for 15 plus years as far as training and competition. Let's round up 20 years. What has led you to develop that mindset?
I mean, I think I'm that way with pretty much everything I do in life, right? I mean, I do construction, right? So we work hard. And I want to get it done. Let's get it done. I mean, let's work as hard as we have to, as long as we have to, but let's get it done, right? It's hot, it's cold, it's whatever. Let's just get it done. A lot of guys are like, oh, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too heavy, it's too this. I just want to get shit done. Mm-hmm. Same thing. I think I pretty much apply the same thing to fighting, right? Let's just get it done, right? And there's not really much quit in me, right? Win or lose, I'm going to give 110%. You said 1, I say 10.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
That's pretty much just the way I treat everything in life, right? You just gotta give it your all, right? Win or lose, you still give it everything I have, and
When you feel like you're about to just run out of energy, run out of steam, even mentally, when you feel like you're completely exhausted, what is it that you tell yourself? Is it something that you see? Is it something that you feel physically? What is it that keeps you still in it?
That's a good question.
Actually, give me a story along that. Give me a situation, be it in training, be it in a fight, be it at work, where you felt yourself about to, give up. And what kept you going?
Fight life. I've had fights where, it's fighting, right? So it gets tough. It does get tough. Everybody trains. Everybody's tough, right? It's not.
No, I don't think everybody's tough. Well, I hear, you train, you live in the gym, you deal with a lot of tough people. But I don't think even within the culture of fighting, I don't think everybody is tough. I think,
maybe not tough, but everybody has skills.
Sure,
right, of
sure.
some sort, right? But the mental toughness is, it'll take you further than any skill will take you anyways. In fighting, I find, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give up in a fight. Doesn't matter how much you hit me, what you do. I'm not even going to let the ref I won't even give the ref a chance to declare a TKO against me or whatever, right? It's just not in my mindset. I just want to, yeah, and like if it's a 15-minute fight, whatever it is, 9-minute fight, whatever it is, I might lose, I might win, I might lose. And like I said before in a different interview, I actually like fighting, right? The result that's just a bonus if you win, right? But my main thing is that I just like being in the fight.
What is it about being in the fight, the conflict? What is it that gives you the motivation to even be present in that moment?
I don't know, man. It's just like I just enjoy the moment. I live for that shit, right? This is like. I don't fish, I don't golf. This is what I do. I fight, right? I like to fight, and I mean, there's just something pure about fighting, right? Like when you're in the ring, I hear nothing. I don't hear the crowd. I don't hear my coaches. I hear nothing. All I hear is the other guy's footsteps.
Wow.
Right, and my own, right? And
wow.
I mean, that's just being focused and being that's just the beauty of fighting.
When your opponent is advancing towards you and attacking and getting inside your zone, what are there ever moments of fear and anxiety?
Well, anybody that gets in the ring, nobody's afraid, right? I mean, that's just, if you're afraid, you're not going to be in there. I think the only thing we're afraid of is not performing to like my own expectations, to what I know I can do. So I mean, if I lose, it's more like I let myself down. Like I mean, my fans too, right? Obviously, but like nobody wants to lose. But I mean, yeah, I just don't want to let myself down because I know what I can do, and I mean, yeah. So it's just.
You know what you can do, and you hold yourself up to a standard of an output of 110% as far as effort. How do you keep yourself? How do you hold yourself accountable to that standard? Like, aren't there days where you're just like, and I know I'm asking you some tough questions here. Good. I appreciate your time, and more importantly, I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are on this. Are there days when you're coming to the gym and you don't want to be training to begin with?
Most days.
Most days.
Yeah, I hate training.
You hate training.
I hate training.
but you're in here all the time.
I like training for fun.
Right.
But if I'm just coming here to train, just hey, let's go spar, let's go grapple, let's go do something, I don't mind. But if I'm training for a fight where I have to be in the gym, then it's not so fun. It's not that fun, right? So yeah, it's the weight loss, it's the dieting, it's the sleeping early, it's the not doing nothing but training, right? So when it starts to become like a job, I don't enjoy it. But if I'm doing it for fun, then I love it.
That's interesting. As far as your training philosophy, if you were, and obviously you're involved, you've influenced a lot of local fighters here, obviously because you're sparring with a lot of them, you're giving them advice, coaching them, so on and so forth. What is the Stephan Lamarche philosophy as a coach when it comes to coach-student relation?
Well, I mean, I tell everyone, don't be a bitch all the time, right? Like, fucking don't cry. Don't be a little girl. Don't fucking tell me it hurts. Don't tell me you're tired. I don't care about that, right? If you're going to train, if you want to fight, and I mean, the fans don't care about that shit. The promoter doesn't care about that shit. All they care about is a fight, right? So all the excuses in the world don't matter if you lose, right? So, I mean, just train hard and be humble and, give her 110% every day, right?
When you tell them that, and I believe you're a pretty straight up, blunt individual, as you are in the ring. You know, it seems to me you carry yourself that way. When you tell people, don't be a bitch, don't cry, don't whine, how do they react to it? Because, and I'll phrase it this way: there's a lot of people in these sports. I'm generalizing here. A lot of people who are in it for different reasons. And it's almost glamorized to be a fighter. Would you agree?
A lot of guys, I tell guys all the time, like some guys are in there for they like the whole leading up to the fight. People live for that, right? The interviews, the pictures, the posters, the likes on Facebook,
right,
all that shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
Right.
And I tell guys too, all that doesn't matter because on fight night, all the people want to see is a good fight. They don't give a shit what you posted on Facebook, what you think, what you ate, nobody cares about none of that.
100%.
So,
The hype is irrelevant.
Yeah, the hype is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So that's when you see who the true fighters are, right? Because there's a lot of guys that have some skill, but I mean, it's still, you have to have that killer instinct too, right? That's if you don't have that, then So that's why I tell all the new guys that even come here at our gym, right? Like a lot of guys, I'm not gonna give names, but a lot of guys, I tell them like, hey, you're a little bitch, man. Like like there's not the, we have a lot of those guys. They know who they are, and I mean, that's like here, this gym, that gym, any gym, anywhere, like anywhere you go, there's always guys that. You can tell the guys that are fake fighters and the guys that are real fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're raising a really interesting point as far as that dichotomy between people who are, fake fighters and real fighters. For people listening, what is the difference between a fake fighter and a real fighter? What's the criteria of a fake fighter?
Like. You can see, hey, Steph, you want to fight this guy? Yeah, sure. I won't even look up who he is. Like, just give me a name and give me a time and a place, and I'll be there.
Sure.
A lot of guys now, I don't want this guy, I don't want that guy, maybe somebody else,
Were you always like that throughout your career?
Yeah, I was.
So at no point were you almost, because there's also, the philosophy of picking people to build up, right? To build up your profile.
Yeah.
And it's funny because John Ramdeen was saying about you is that you fought some serious competitors throughout your career, as far as your mixed martial arts career, and you always put yourself up against the best that was around. You were always gung-ho to go at it regardless, right? And that, because people's obsession with numbers and records, like it's almost a statistical thing. They hold that higher, but there's no real statistical assessment. Like, in other words, people say, oh, this person is 7-0, or this person is 12-2, but they don't do the homework and the analysis of who did they fucking fight.
Exactly, because I could have been 20-0 if I wanted to.
Sure.
I would have just said no to all the guys I fought, and I would have fought 20 bums,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been. I have losses in mixed martial arts. I don't have a good record,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that's because I fought the best guys that there was to fight. And most of the guys I fought are now fighting in the UFC or doing big things in bigger leagues, right?
You know what's funny?
Right.
You're what you're alluding to is the fact that there's a lack of assessment on fight records.
Yeah.
People look at the numbers, but they just look at the number like it's the time. They don't look at the number, the time, and say, what time zone is this in? Do you know, where it's another layer of assessment and so on. Going back to your point about fake fighters and people who are involved in these sports, do you think the popularity of combat sports, be it jiu-jitsu, Thai, MMA, you think the popularity and the marketing, be it the interviews, the social media, the this and that, do you think that's created an entire sort of community of people who are more attached to the bravado and the parading of, you know what I mean, like the culture of celebration that comes from this, without from competitors, from athletes in these sports who don't even actually train and fight?
For sure, because now like everybody has a friend that fights.
Sure.
Anybody you talk to, you say, "Oh, I heard you're a fighter." Yeah, I am. I said, "Oh yeah, my buddy fights." I'm like, "Well, who's your friend?" Obviously, you never heard of this freaking guy's name, right? Whoever the friend is, or if he is, it's like, it's just cool to be a fighter now, right? Like,
right.
Everybody thinks it's the thing, right? The cauliflower ears, this,
sure.
that, this good. Everybody wants to, it's the cool thing, right? So. I mean, it's really easy to find out the fakes from the real, right? So that all shows up in the ring, right? Like, there's guys that before the fight, they're hoping that shit doesn't happen. Well, shit's gonna happen. It's a fucking fight, So,
like what stuff? Like what?
Like bad stuff. You're gonna get knocked out. You're gonna get hit. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna be cut. Anything, right? Like, shit's gonna happen, Like, oh, I hope it goes good. I don't hope for nothing. I just hope for a good fight, Like, at the end of the fight, people will like it. People paid money to watch you fight anyways, right? So you got to go out there and perform, right? So, like I said, all the likes on Facebook, all the interviews, all the posters, they don't mean shit on fight night, right?
Yeah. You mentioned the point of, it's cool to be a fighter.
It is.
And in your opinion, is it? Do you think for the uninitiated, for people who don't, who haven't trained and dedicated themselves, like yourself, right? You're in here all the time training, at the gym, at the dojo, so on and so forth. Is being a fighter cool?
I don't think it is. I think that's just what I do. It's like, is being a golfer cool?
Right.
Is being a hockey player cool? I mean, people play squash. Is playing squash cool? Whatever. But like, it's cool if you're good at it. I mean, some people look up to it, but some people just, that's the image that they try to portray, right?
Right.
My image is not of a fighter. My image is just me, right? I live my life, right? That's just what I choose to do, is fight, and like, I'm okay at it, I guess, but like, I don't try to brag that I fight to people, right? Like most people that I meet, I won't even tell them that I fight. They end up finding out, but I don't.
You don't publicize.
No, I don't publicize it. I mean, if they find out, they find out. If they don't, I don't care, right? So I mean, it's just. But there's people that just want to be thought of as fighters, right? And that's, those are usually the fake guys.
Sure. When you deal with the fakes, is there a way to convert a fake to a real?
No.
There's no way to convert.
No.
Really?
No.
So hold up. So you mean to tell me if like there was an all day 7-hour workshop, okay, that started at 8 a.m, 2 breaks, one at 10:15 and another one at 2:15 and a lunch hour break, and this workshop was the Stephan Lamarche workshop on generating real fighters, and let's say I brought to you 5 fake fighters.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be able to in that all day workshop lead them through some sort of program, a 1-day program or maybe a 2-day program, to instill the characteristics of a real combat sports athlete and fighter? Do you think that's doable?
Man, like, I think either you're a fighter at heart, either it's in your heart or it's not, right? It's all about heart, right? Either you have it or you don't.
Right.
I mean, being a fighter, it's not just in the ring, right? It's in anything. It's just in life in general, right? Like, do you quit? Are you going to quit when you do anything? So this is what it is, right? If you're just gonna, and you can't really teach heart. You can't teach someone to be a fighter.
Right.
You can give someone better skills. I can teach you skills to be a better fighter, but like the at heart, that's just on you, right?
Sure.
I can't teach you heart. So,
no,
you have it or you don't, right?
Totally, and a lot of people say that, but you remember.
But there's nothing wrong with not being a fighter. If you come to a gym, there's a lot of people that come to the gym just to train.
Excellent
just to
point.
Enjoy training.
Right.
The gym is a business too, right? So everybody
Sure.
can be a fighter.
Sure.
So some people just want to train. They like the sport, but they don't consider themselves fighters. These people I have respect for, but it's the guys that, oh yeah, I'm a fighter. But like really, it's just like a lot of guys are just bitches, right? They're not fighters.
Sure.
Right? Like this guy last night, right? This guy, I'm a fighter. I have 60 fights. I have that, but you're not a fighter because you quit. I've seen you quit before when you fought a friend of mine, and I've seen you quit last night. So I mean, you're not a fighter.
Do you think, as far as like you mentioned a really good point about the fact that people train for different reasons, right? And traditionally, more or less, let's go back to the 90s.
Listen, I went to Ronin in 2004, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I was at work. I told a friend of mine, listen, man, I wish I would love to fight. I just got the Fight Network. I was like, man, I'd love to do this shit. He's like, oh, there's a gym that teaches that stuff. I went there the same night.
Right.
I walked into Ronin Mixed Martial Arts.
And you hadn't trained ever?
I never trained nothing. I did construction.
Right.
I mean, that's all I did. I went to work. Went to work, went home. Went to work, went home. I fished back then. I liked fishing.
What is it about fishing that you liked?
I was just relaxing, whatever. Just time by myself, or just relax. The water was a good time, right?
Right.
And so I walked into Ronin, and I even had a CD, you know, and I had Vanderlei Silva on it and stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling the guy on this CD here is this is what I want to do. This guy here, Vanderlei Silva,
Interesting.
and they sold me a gi.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, but this guy's not wearing a gi.
Maybe they made the connection, the fact that Vanderlei Silva was Brazilian,
Yeah.
and you know Ronan had Brazil. I'm just joking. Ronan had Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, well, it was MMA, but back then I didn't know anything about fighting. I was new, right? I saw it on TV. I was like, oh shit, I want to do this.
You want to scrap?
I
You
want
want
to scrap?
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Like, I don't know anything, but I'm sure I can do this.
Sure.
So I went there and I told them, listen, I want to fight. They said, you know, a lot of guys want to fight. There's guys that have been training here for years and years. They're getting ready to fight.
No, who was telling you? If you don't have to mention names if you don't want to.
Just
But
the owners back then.
Okay.
Some of the guys that, when I first went into
sure.
my first encounter with them. So,
Yeah.
anyways, so I spent maybe a month there, and then there was a show in town, right? Apex.
Yeah.
Apex.
Yeah.
Martial Arts,
Yeah.
And they were looking for guys, and the coach.
Hold on. So you're training for a month there,
Month and a half maybe. Yeah.
and this is pure jiu-jitsu, gi
Well,
gra-
jiu-jitsu, and I was doing Muay Thai too because they had Muay Thai there.
Right.
Yeah. And I'd done a little bit of boxing before,
Right.
but nothing serious. So, anyways, there was a show in town, Apex,
Right.
and they were looking for guys, and I was like, man, I'd do that, right? And the coaches that see me train and stuff, and I mean, I was a strong guy. I had good cardio, not the best technique, but they're like, fuck, we'll give it a shot, you know.
This is the one where you were aggressive with the takedown with the double legs, yeah?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
kept,
yeah.
I was there. I saw that.
Actually, I think that was my second fight, King of the Cage, right?
Yes, yeah, where you were just ran, and it's funny because I'm like, this fucking guy, did he wrestle in high school
I
or
never
something?
wrestled.
Like, because it was, I mean,
I suck at wrestling.
well, I mean, you were taking down the opponent like it was nothing, and it was, you know, continuous. Like even the fans were,
Yeah.
you set a pace that fans were.
I think I got like 14 body slams that night or something.
Yeah, well, that's it. And people were like, oh,
And me and this guy still talk to this day, right? It's
Really?
been like how many years? 12 years?
Has he recovered from?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Me and Garrett Venroy, you know, me and him became good friends, right? And like,
Hmm.
yeah, we still talk and like, yeah, still keep in touch. So he came to visit me. I went to visit him. He lives out of town, right? So
Right.
it was a good experience, you know. It was rough for him that night, but yeah.
Sure.
No, my first fight was Apex. I forget the guy's name, but anyways, it lasted like 50 seconds, right?
Right.
It was on live TV, so it was a big deal for me, right? After
Sure.
like just a couple months of training, so it was that was the beginning, right? And then
What would you tell yourself if you could go back to that first fight? What would you give? What would you tell yourself in terms of advice? Not just in the ring, but outside of the ring. What would Stephan Lamarche tell the old Stephan Lamarche?
man, I don't know. I was pretty much like a perfect entry into the world of combat sport, you know. Like the guy was a guy like me, 0-0. We had no fights, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? It was supposed to be one guy. Markel Wedderburn was supposed to be my first opponent.
Really?
But something happened, so he couldn't make it. And then they found me another guy, and he didn't make it either. So then they found me this guy.
But isn't Markel? Isn't he heavier? Isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's taller and heavier.
Yeah, but listen, so this story. So I fought this guy, boom. So then, but at so my second show, the one that you saw me at with all the body slams, King of the Cage.
Yeah.
Markel Wedderburn was on that show fighting somebody else. So I saw him in the crowd, and I was like, hey, him and his entourage, and I was like, hey, man, I'm like, thanks for not fucking showing up last time, you know, and whatever, right? So that's pretty much started.
Did you actually say it like that?
Yeah. So that kind of started the feud between me and him. Like now, me and Markel are good friends now, right? Like over the years, like he stayed with me in Ottawa, I stayed with him in Toronto, and like
Right.
we trained together, we hang together, right? Like we became friends. But a couple years down the road, after we both started our careers, we ended up fighting. Because he had an opponent that bailed out on the day before the fight, and they were desperately trying to find someone.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, I'll take the fight. So I took the fight. The fucking guy missed weight.
Wow. Wow.
You missed weight, right? I made weight.
What were you guys fighting at? What weight?
It was 170.
Okay.
Right? Well, I'm at 155, right? But we're fighting that fight at 170, which is all right.
You're a natural 155.
That's what. That's the fight. That's the weight I like to fight at.
Wow.
155. So we fought at 170, and the ref that we had, the guy has me in a fucking triangle with no arm, right? So it's not a choke really. I'm just stuck there, but there's nothing going on. The fucking ref stops the fight.
On what grounds? For what reason?
Oh, I thought you were in trouble. That was his reasoning. I thought you were in trouble. Man, it's a fight, so of course I'm in trouble, right? Like that's what we're here for. But it was the promoter got on the mic. It was a big deal, whatever. So anyways, so a few months down the road, they set up another fight, me and him on the Indian Reserve, Iroquois.
Yeah.
I lost like a 5-round decision. But like in the fight, you can see this guy's got like 30 pounds on me and stuff. Like it was like I don't even think he made weight, you know. It was for a title. He won the belt, whatever. Congrats to him. You know, he got his belt, and now we became friends. But yeah, that's the story of Markel Whitterburn.
Huh. Is he still fighting?
I think he's boxing now.
Okay.
I think he's doing okay in boxing. I think he's 3 pro boxing fights now, 2-1 or something. So.
Are you 100% done with mixed martial arts?
And like I haven't grappled or wrestled or done nothing. Like since I pretty much met Crew Naren was like, man, he's like, I don't understand why you want to keep fucking around with this MMA bullshit. He's like, fucking, you know, like your striking's good, your striking's good. We'll make it better and just. And then last year, after like 10 years of training with Naren, I'm like, you know what, man, I think I'll do a Thai fight, right?
Oh wow! So it took you a decade of before you decided, hey, I want to segue into Thai.
Yeah, like when I fought Jeff Harrison. That was my first Muay Thai fight.
Yeah.
That came about where we were at another show at the museum. And Jeff said, man, I want to fight. Nobody wants to fight me. And I'm like, who the fuck told you that? And then, so that's how the fight with Jeff came about. And we fought, and then, that was my entry into Muay Thai. And
What aspect of the Muay Thai game do you love the most? What is the Stephan Lamarche Muay Thai philosophy?
I mean, I think the thing about Muay Thai is not only do I want to break your face, but I want to break you mentally, right? Like
and you excel at that.
Yeah, I do.
What do you do? Break down this philosophy, Stephan Lamarche. Break down, how do you break the opponent before the fight even begins?
Before the fight, I'm pretty quiet, right? I'm not a guy that talks a lot. I don't call.
It's that introversion. You're introverted, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's that introverted, but then it's. Anyways, please continue. Sorry.
Like like when you walk into the ring, it's like walking into a room and you turn on the light switch on. Well, that's what fighting is. When the refs, when they hear ding ding, the bell goes. It's like on.
Sure.
When the fight's done, I press the switch back to off, right? Then you go back into normal mode, right? But like when I'm in the ring, it's just like there's just bully mode, you know. Yeah, I don't like bullies, but in the
no, I understand what you mean. Yeah, fight, you're speaking. Yeah,
that's what I am. I want to be the bully, you know, especially in a Muay Thai fight, right? Like that's why I gave up MMA, right? Because most of my fights, like I always knew I had good striking, but it's kind of hard to be a good striker at MMA because you have to worry about takedowns. You have to worry about so there's too many variables to actually excel at just striking.
Sure.
Right, and then I ended up on the ground all the time. So long story short, I didn't like it. So Muay Thai is where it's at for me, you know. And like back to the breaking you mentally.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like whatever you throw at me, it's okay. I still walk forward.
That's the thing. You sell it. Sell the attack. Someone throws something. And you don't even acknowledge it. You acknowledging it by almost mocking them.
Yeah.
You know, where you throw your hands and you're like, what was that, a mosquito? You know, and it's funny because I almost
That's
want
becoming my trademark, you know.
It is. What the hell was that? But it's a bold move, you know, and it obviously adds to the psychological warfare that you're embarking on in your goal to break the opponent. And when we see it, I'm speaking as a spectator, of course, commentator, but a spectator, more importantly a fan. When I see that, it's even as a spectator, you can see it influencing you. Do you understand what I mean? Even the judges, I could see it influencing them because you're no selling. You're basically throwing their offensive out the window and saying, "Hit me as hard as you can."
Pretty much.
You know. So you're poking holes in them, and inserting doubt in their ability.
It's like when you play poker, right? It's a poker face, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It hurts. I mean, I get hit in the head. Of course it hurts,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, it doesn't hurt enough that I'm gonna let you know that you hurt me. Like, I mean, there's no, it's just forward.
Is that? It's funny. It's funny you say that. Is that in some sporting cultures, they almost. I remember reading about in sambo, for example, in this former Soviet Union, they used to train leg locks and submission holds and teach people to no sell pain.
Man, I trained with the sambo guy.
Igor
Yakomov.
Right.
So
there you
I'm
go.
on the ground with Igor.
Yeah.
He says, let's warm up. I'm like, all right. We sit down.
Yeah.
And Igor and Jason Motard, actually.
Sure.
I sit down, and Igor does like a Achilles lock.
Yeah.
I'm like, I start tapping. He's like, why are you tapping? We're just warming up.
Right.
He's like, this is the warm-up. I'm like, yeah, but it hurts. And he's like, yeah, but that's the warm-up.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, all right, man, cool, man. That's how it is, all right.
That's awesome. Yeah, but
I get it.
but that's it. You're getting stretched, right?
Yeah,
you're getting stretched in more ways than one. But it's like instilling the fact that one
pain
has
is okay. Yeah, it's fighting, but I mean, yeah, pain can be your concern if you're fighting.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Like some people say, pain is. I mean, pain hurts, but I mean, it only hurts like. It doesn't hurt enough to stop, like to stop fighting. You know what I mean? Like a punch to the face hurts,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I'm not gonna stop fighting because you hit me. That's why we're here. That's the sport. We're supposed to hit each other, right?
Totally.
So I'll stop you if you knock me out. I have no choice. But until that happens, and I mean, there's no stopping, throwing fists or throwing elbows or throwing knees, or right. That's just there's only one way to stop. That's the ref's job, right?
When you landed that elbow yesterday, it was such a it was very quick and dynamic, but it's your signature move. It's like Randy Savage coming off the the top rope with the elbow. But for real, like it's almost like you corner your opponent like a hyena. No, not even, more like a wolf, and you just rip their face off.
Listen, man, I tell you, like, I never fight with emotions. This guy, like, this is like one of the first times where I was like, some of my friends were recording it and I could hear them talking in the video. They're like, yeah, he's fucking pissed at this guy. He's gonna
Big
smash
time,
this
bro.
guy, like,
big time.
Yeah.
Your whole demeanor, like when you were standing in the corner, your body language, you weren't even standing straight. You had your chest almost slanted like this. In the video, you'll see, and you were fucking possessed. You were almost in a trance.
I mean, but that's because it's like 2 months of this guy just traumatizing me, like mentally, like fucking, not showing up for the fight, and then like people are telling me, oh yeah, this guy's training hard, he's gonna smash you and this and that, and like and like I keep watching it because I'm on social media like everybody else, right? And I'm watching posts from his gym. I see everybody else training in the videos, but his ass, he's always training somebody else, or he's fucking sitting, or he's not there, right? So in my mind, I'm like, man, how can you be talking shit and you ain't doing shit, right? So last night I just wanted to go there and prove a point, right? And they picked because they picked this fight, and they picked like an older man, smaller man. Like I fight at 160, 165 in Muay Thai, This guy fought my friend Vince at 190, I think.
Wow.
So he's a bigger guy, obviously, more experience. So I think he saw something that he thought he could take advantage of, smaller guy or whatever, popular guy or whatever. It's a good win for him. Like if you finish me in Muay Thai, like it'll get, people will talk about it. But not today, or not yesterday.
It's funny. So you're saying that they thought they could exploit size advantage and age advantage.
Because like I said, I was in the change room and I could hear him and his friends talk. His friends were trying to pump it into his head. He's smaller. He's old. You can't be as strong as you, man. You're gonna dominate this guy, and
Yeah, but as you know, that you kind of have to a certain degree, hype up.
Yeah, but listen, man, my coaches don't hype me up.
So that's interesting. So you're saying that sort of approach is not viable?
No, that's bullshit.
Why is it bullshit, Stefan?
Because I don't need people to tell me what I have to do. I'm a fucking full-grown man. So is that guy, right? We're getting into a fight, so you know what kind of mind state you need to be in. You're not fighting. I keep telling people too, when you fight me, you're not fighting a regular guy. You know, you're not getting into a regular fight. You know.
Right.
So yeah, as long as you know that, like the last guy I fought before this guy, Dan Kachego.
Okay.
Man, awesome guy, man. I watched the fight yesterday.
This is in Cambridge?
Yeah, in Cambridge.
Yeah, right.
Like last night when I got home, I didn't even watch the fight with Dave McDonald. I watched the fight with Dave Kachego. With Dan Kachego. That's the fight that I watched when I got home. I put it on my big screen. And
At 3 in the morning?
Yeah, and I watched the fucking fight like 3 or 4 times.
Damn.
And
what did you learn?
Man, I learned this is a guy that was like the same mindset as me. The guy just fucking stood there and took whatever I give, and I took whatever he had to give, right? He was cut, he was hurt, he was everything, you know, elbows once again, you know? And yeah, and, but he stayed in the fight. And like, today I'll actually message him and tell him thanks for the fight, you know, because it was actually enjoyable, you know?
So you're friends?
Oh, we're not friends, but I mean, when once you fight someone, if it's a good fight, like this guy last night, like I don't give a shit. This is fight's done. Him, his fucking whole crew, whoever I fought, that shit's done. It's like, you know,
right?
Fall downs, you know. But this other guy, also another guy I fought, Joe Tipping, stand-up guy. The guy fought, man, like fucking, he fought hard the whole time. There was no quit in those guys, right? And like this guy here, and like there was a lot of. Yeah, I saw a doubt that he had doubts before the fight even started, and it was just
you know, it's at one point it's funny because thank God the MTO was there, thank God the referee was there and stopped, because it was a perfect stoppage, man. Because anything past that, I was, you know. There's a certain response as a comment, you know, not that I take myself too serious, but like, damn, like. When he fell down, it was like more than obvious that this was done.
Thank God we had a good ref.
Seriously,
Michael Reed was the ref. I think he's the head guy for MTO.
And they do an amazing job, you know. And sorry, continue.
Yeah, I like Michael Reed, you know, stand-up guy, right? Like even yesterday, he's like, Steph, this is our 3rd fight together. You know the deal. You know what I mean? Like, I know the deal too. He's like, fucking, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, but good job on the referee. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to. Because he couldn't let the guy go again.
No, there was no reason for that.
There was no need. There would have just been like, you would have been unconscious, right? So
totally.
Yeah, we'll just leave it as a TKO or whatever they want to call it. I think it was still ruled a knockout, but yeah, we'll just let you walk home on your own free will, right? You're the
only fight last night with that sort of finish, you know, and I mean it's and consistently you're finishing people in such animalistic, vicious, and ruthless ways, and I say that, you know, again, it's that technically hellacious clobbering, the THC. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is, bro. What's next for you? What's happening? What's the next plan? Well, when's the next fight?
I think Niagara Falls in August, I believe. I have an offer for a fight there, you know, against a pretty experienced fighter, a guy with like 70, 80 fights.
Holy moly.
So, yeah.
At what weight?
I think we probably do it at 165 or 160. I think I have no details yet. I'm just waiting for the promoter to confirm it, but he already approached me about it and said, yo, I need you on the show, so whatever. So. Who's
managing you? Is it your coach, Naren?
Yeah, N1 Thai Boxing.
Okay.
Yeah. And myself, whatever. Me and Naren manage me, you know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, it was really good talking with you. Congratulations on your win yesterday.
Thank you.
And obviously, we want to see more of you fight locally and all over Canada and hopefully internationally. So keep doing your thing, man. You're one of the, I think, one of a few, if not the only person who started 15 years ago as a competitor and who's still grinding and at it, right? Who's still, you know what I mean, committed to it, and that speaks a lot on your determination, your warrior spirit, and the true heart of a champion. And I think everyone can agree with that statement. So all the best to you.
Thank you.
Hey, I went to give him a pound, and he went to give me a shake. It's all good.
Thank you.
Thanks.